Okay, I'd like to open up the Public Works and Protection Committee meeting on Tuesday, January 1, 2025. Roll call, please.
Gary Paul,
Here.
Jay Krieger,
Here.
Kelly Service.
Here.
John Burnett.
Here.
And Joanne Euclid.
Here.
Okay, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, action on the agenda. Any corrections, additions?
Move to approve.
Second.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 5, action on the minutes of June 3rd, 25 for the Public Works and Protection meeting. Any corrections or additions there?
Move to approve. Second.
First and a second on that, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, item 6 is the items to discuss and action. Item A, consider, discuss, act on appeal for denial of operator's license, Isidore Gay. Chief, I believe you were the one this.
Yes, thank you.
I can start it real quick and then pass it on to Chief Rowling. So in your packet is a cover letter and some information related to an operator's license denial for Isaac Gay. He has submitted his request for an appeal on that denial. Public Safety did deny administratively that application under the premise of not meeting the conditions of guideline number 3, which is identified and highlighted in your agenda packet, which is essentially the circumstances of a conviction or an arrest or pending charge where one or more offenses arising out of a separate incident within the last 2 years immediately preceding the application substantially relates to the licensing activity in which Mr. Gay's record had indicated. Public Works and Protection Committee then at this point, as outlined in the cover memo, may recommend approval of the operator's license if the applicant presents to the committee substantial evidence in the form of credible documentation of rehabilitation from that charge. And I'll pass it over to Chief Rowling to kind of walk through the information that was presented as part of the application.
Thank you. Yeah, so when the application came in, the background check is done with our village. Mr. Gay did put 2024 of an OWI arrest conviction. In doing the background check, we did see that the actual conviction was listed for 2025. So unfortunately, he is in that time frame of within the 2 years of a conviction of an alcohol offense, which would unfortunately disqualify him. One other thing he also failed to put down on his criminal history was a possession conviction as well in 2024. So again, that was our department not recommending him to have a license.
And Chairperson Paul, Isaac is here in attendance today with a few other individuals that may be able to speak on his behalf.
Okay. Any questions up here at this time?
No, I'll make a motion to open the floor to allow Mr. Gay to speak.
Second.
First and a second, open the floor for Mr. Gates. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Would you like to come up and present your case? Sit down, state your name and address for the record. Pull the microphone up to your mouth so we can understand you.
Isaac Gay,
Address.
2025 Argonne Street.
Okay. You want to explain your situation?
Back in 2024 August, I got pulled over and charged with possession of THC, OWI, and operating with a controlled substance. either the 20th or the 21st, I got dropped 2 of the 3 charges. The possession and OWI, the only thing they charged me with was operating with a controlled substance. At the time when I was filling out the application, I was trying to wait until my a court hearing because my manager at the time told me I had until January. So I was just going to wait to see if anything changed before I filled it. But then I guess things changed and he needed it sooner. So I just wrote down what I knew.
Okay. Are you presently working now?
Yes.
What are you doing to correct these situations that you're in?
Well, right now I'm going to do classes at NWTC.
Have you gone to court on all these yet? Have you gone to court on all these?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay. Any questions from the,
So how did some of the charges got dropped by, how did that happen? That
The
wasn't
judge
in
just dropped them.
So that wasn't a court proceeding.
Yes.
Do you have record of that, Chief?
No, the record I have, if you just give me 1 second here, is in regards to the possession of the THC. So if he made a plea deal in regards to that conviction, that can go through the proceedings, but unfortunately, that wasn't listed on his application. But really, basically the one with the OWI conviction, unfortunately, done within that 2-year time frame of his application is really what's kind of the damaging part here, more than him just forgetting to put something else down. I just happened to see that when I was going through the rest of his paperwork.
When you filled out your application, were you aware of the strict rules that we have here?
Of course.
So you knew that.
That's why I was trying to wait. But I guess my boss was getting pushed to have me fill it out sooner than later.
And so you put on here too that you're taking classes through NWTC. I guess what other steps have you taken to just to change some of your behaviors?
Well, I mean, I don't smoke anymore. I stopped like right after I got pulled over.
Okay.
But I mean, besides that, not really. Just stopped, and then I have those classes at NWTC.
any other questions?
I'll make a motion to close the floor.
Can I speak?
First,
Can I say something on his behalf? I'm his father.
you can take his place here to come
Certainly.
down. We need your name and address like he did.
I'll remove my,
You gotta come up here.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Tim Gay. I'm Isaac's father.
Pull the mic.
I live at 2025 Argonne Street here in Ashwaubenon. I just want to say that Isaac is a very good kid, okay? I raised him by myself. He doesn't know his mom. He hasn't seen her, and that's on her since he was 2. You know, he's been through a lot of things where a lot of kids that are weaker than him would have used as excuses to run the streets, be in worse trouble. This is the first time he's been in trouble. Okay, he doesn't even drink. On his 21st birthday, he didn't go to a bar. He hung out with me. He doesn't drink at all, and he hasn't smoked since that day. And I'm very proud to be his father. And I just want to say that you guys, all he does is work. He works 10 days in a row, the graveyard shift at the gas station. He only sells alcohol between 10 and midnight. Otherwise, that's it. Otherwise, then he's there till 6 in the morning. And he really likes his job. And it's been really good for him. And I just want to hope that you guys take that into consideration when you figure out what you want to do right now. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jay,
I'll move to close the floor.
Second?
got a first and second to close the floor, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Recommendations.
Well, seeing that this, we're talking within a year. To be very honest, I appreciate everything that you said, but we have some very strict rules that we follow here in Ashwaubenon, and we pretty much stay 100%. When I say pretty much, I can't think of an instance where we've said no, that we've gone and approved somebody. In this situation, being this new, I know you're still gonna be able to continue to do your job. There's just gonna have to be somebody else there that can be on site for you to be able to sell the alcohol. So I would say the best thing to do, and I would just like to see you get some more time, get these behind you, and then you can come back and apply for a license again, outside the 2-year time frame that we're talking about here. It's unfortunate, I get it, but we have rules, and we're trying to keep everybody aligned with those rules. That's my thoughts. So I'll make the motion to uphold the denial.
Second.
Got a first and a second to deny the operator's license. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. On the 22nd of this month, we have a village board meeting that will come up again. You can present your case in front of the village board meeting. This is just the committee that gives
You
the
can come back
first
again
step.
and present there.
So you can come back and explain your case and see what the village board says.
And something that could help is if there's like a letter of recommendation from the boss that he has right now, that could help your case, just to show that he's reliable, that he's taken some steps as well.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Just a quick note that meeting on the 22nd starts at 6 PM.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, item B, consider discuss act on Class B beer / Class B liquor license requested for the District Poorhouse. Joel?
All right, thank you, Gary. District Poorhouse LLC, doing business as District Poorhouse, is requesting approval of a Class B beer, Class B liquor combination license for the premise located at 686 Mike McCarthy Way, the Common Place. All the required paperwork has been submitted, and the corresponding fees have been paid. April Smith, who is here in attendance as the owner, will also be able to speak on behalf of the ownership group. District Poorhouse, you may be familiar with this, or it may be familiar to you, because it had previously been granted, however, not issued a Class B beer and Class B liquor license in 2023 for 799 Mike McCarthy Way, so across the street from Holmgren Way at another facility. However, due to some issues with an unresolved lease and some ownership issues at that property, the business was never able to fully commence at that location. Not to their issue, it was the issue of the ownership and the lease conditions on the building. Pursuant to Village Code, a license that is granted but not issued, or is issued but not used continuously in a manner indicating an ongoing business for a period exceeding 90 days is presumed invalid and is subject to revocation. And that's what happened for their location at 799 Mike McCarthy. So again, the license was never issued and thereby revoked. If you recall, back in 2023, the village board originally granted the Class B liquor license for that location at 799 Mike McCarthy. It granted the combined license because it met the criteria for a reserved Class B intoxicating liquor license exemption, or exception, I should say, rather. And that, in that regard, for that exception, it qualified as a full-service restaurant that provided an interior seating environment, a capacity of 300 or more persons. In this particular location at 686 Mike McCarthy Way, it does not meet the 300-person seating capacity requirement and therefore does not qualify as an exception to that reserved Class B license. So just to kind of give you a comparable between the two locations. The village may at its discretion consider granting the Class B beer, Class B liquor license combination, or in lieu of that, you could certainly grant a Class B beer and a Class C wine license by eliminating the intoxicating liquors component to that application. So with that, again, April is here to speak on behalf of District Poorhouse, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
I'll move to open the floor.
Second.
First and a second to open the floor, all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, somebody, one of you want to come up and give us name and address and explain your business plan to us.
Give us an update.
Hi, thank you. April Smith, 460 South Huron Road, Green Bay. We are here today to, wait, did you?
No?
Okay.
Just,
We're here today to request an operator's license for Class B Class B beer and liquor license for our new location at the Commonplace. And my husband and I have been working on this for over 4 years. And when we first started, boy, did we have some bumps. It was a learning lesson, to be sure. We have great partnerships with the Commonplace, Bayland Buildings, and our financial partner, Bank of Luxembourg. And we'll be joining your community, not just in the business, but also supporting your associations and your local nonprofits as well. The District Poorhouse is a full-service restaurant and bar. What is unique about our business model is that how you receive your beverages is purely self-pour. So as you walk into our establishment, your IDs are checked and you're given a wristband, which signifies to our licensed operators that you are of age. If you have any minors in tow, you will also receive a specific wristband for them, indicating they are minors, which also gives our licensed operators the ability to identify they should not have an alcoholic beverage in front of them. How we police this. How we police whether or not somebody is getting a beverage as a legal age, how much they've had, and things like that. We start with our ID check, and then we move into the wristbands. And we also have a set number of ounces that are pre-programmed into all of our RFID cards. It's not that the customer has to ask or tell us how many ounces they get. They just automatically get a predetermined ounce, which I believe is around 30 ounces. And then as they proceed throughout the evening, if they expire on those ounces, a message will appear on our screens that say you've reached your limit of ounces. Please talk to one of our licensed operators, which is also our bartending check for more of a, if you're using traditional terminology. Our licensed operators then can judge based on how that person is acting, walking up to our wall to get their beverage, whether or not they can or be allowed to obtain more beverages. If they can't, they can certainly have non-alcoholic beverages, order off the menu, things like that. There's also back-end reporting. So our business is very heavily technology-driven, and the reporting that we get from our systems can ensure that we can always build a report that shows how many beverages April Smith had, how many beverages Tyler Smith has had. Should there ever be a reason for the chief or any other public safety individual needing to check that. One of the things that when we read through the agenda and the corresponding information that Joel just shared with you on the Class B liquor license, I wanted to make sure that I was very transparent. With our business model, we're going to have 40 taps, which can only be accessed, as I mentioned, with someone that has a wristband and an RFID card. Those taps, majority are gonna be beer. There's probably gonna be 5 or 6 taps that are reserved for our wine selection and pre-batched cocktails. So the cocktails, we're talking Bloody Marys, mimosas, margaritas, and perhaps one, changing out every month or so. So when it comes to the liquor piece of our business, we're really using that as an accommodation for those customers that just don't like beer. Or like me, I get a wine headache, so I won't drink wine. So it's just really an accommodation. It is part of our business model, but it's really there to help encourage and attract all clientele to our business. The other thing with our technology is they're pre-batched, so there's no chance of overpouring. Or for the rowdy bunches that like to come in and do a bunch of shots and just have a great old time getting way too much alcohol, that's not going to be the case in our place. You're not going to walk in and find a wall full of liquor bottles or booze bottles or wine bottles. It's all going to be pre-packaged in our cooler for the use on the wall.
I don't have a problem with the concept, as you all know, but I worry about I think this is one of our last liquor licenses for this setup because it's a new kind of thing we're trying, but I'm wondering if maybe we would do the Class B beer and Class C wine license, which we don't have a limited number of them. Let them try their format with just the 5 wines and the beer for now and see how it goes. And then, maybe later add the liquor or something.
How
I
does
don't
that
know.
impact your business model and what you've been thinking about? I mean, I agree with Kelly. That's kind of where I'm coming at. The new concept, we've been over this before.
Yeah.
So it's not like we don't understand what's going on. What I would like to do is do you have any more comments? Because I would like to close the floor.
Hang on.
Anything else?
Is it all right if Tyler comes up?
Yeah, that'd be great. The chief hasn't had the opportunity to give his input on this, and I would like to get his input, but right now you guys have the floor. So, go ahead.
Thank you.
Good evening. Tyler Smith, 460 South Huron Road in Green Bay, married to April. One of the liquor is if we look at all the pouring beer paid by the ounce locations across the country and even international, most all very successful models have some part of liquor with them. Again, margaritas, Bloody Marys, maybe an old-fashioned type, but they're all pre-mixed in a keg. And they're not like they have to have a full glass. So they can go up and pour 1 ounce and taste it. Or they can pour 2 ounces. So at the end of the night, you want a beer? You don't have to order a full beer. You go up and I just want 2 ounces. That's all I need for the rest of the night. Same with the liquor. And it's managed on the back end. Each tap is, whether it's beer, wine, it could be so many ounces per each type. So you may have 2 glasses of liquor and that's all you can get before that screen pops up. So it's all controlled technologically on the back end. And it's an important thing, I think, to accommodate the clientele of Wisconsin, Green Bay, people that come visit, as we're trying to be a destination location. But it's gonna be more of a rustic urban environment. It's smaller than what we had before. It was 8,000 square feet, now we're at 3,400. So to your question, it is kind of important. We're not gonna have a conglomerate of all these liquors. It's gonna be controlled, and each item is controlled through technology.
Understood.
I think we're well acquainted with what you tried to do and your business philosophy, and you worked to make sure that you could get the full-blown liquor license because of the space you had, and also the food was another issue, which you took care of. And we decided we could go with that. But this is a smaller operation. It's not the 300 that you're accustomed to working with, so you're down to 3,800 square feet, 3,400 square feet that you're working out of. And we are concerned about having one liquor license in this village. If a large bar, sports bar, whatever will open up, we couldn't help them because we don't have that license. Our problem is we're limited to that, as you know, by state statute. So that's our concern here, is the turnaround on the smaller place is our issue.
So as I look at that smaller place, I mean, we would be in the same boat. It's like somebody else in a big liquor thing to come in with all this, the whole traditional setup where liquor is not controlled as well as ours is. You got one person going up, getting drinks at a traditional bar, waiting, buying 3 drinks, going back to the people on the back end, selling to them, going up all the time. Those people in the back are not getting monitored. Every person that drinks in our place gets monitored. Our capacity, if you looked at our just for our capacity sheet at this location, the seating, 165 movable inside and movable seating outside as we work with the commonplace to do our patio area as well, which is in the middle of the courtyard that we'll be building out there. So that's movable seating. Standing room, we're up to 600 people, standing room total. That's not a small operation. That's a pretty good size operation. On a standard day, we're at the lowest is 200, the highest 600. So that, to us, that's not a small operation. Across the country, this is not a small operation. You know, there are bigger ones with food halls, such as Malcolm Yards in Minnesota, and the Golden, Colorado has one as well. They're all over the nation, and we've been to several, and we've visited a lot of them. We talked to the general management of all of them and the owners. The owner of Pour My Beer, who runs our technology, is personally working with us to make this happen, you know, versus our rep that we did have. So we are very high on this and very vetted it out. I understand the liquor license part of it. A bigger company comes in, but again, we are not that small. And again, the commonplace also has another side opening up, potentially, on the other side of the courtyard too, which we may grow into that as well. So there's lots of opportunity for us to grow there as well. Now, if we don't have a liquor license, you give it to some bigger company that may come along, or when they do come along, and we're already up and running, you know, then without that, with just the beer and wine, then also we don't have the liquor license. Now you don't have any for us, when that's could be a portion of our clientele to accommodate people that come in from out of town for games, for restaurant activities, for the Monster Jams, for the baseball games, for the Epic Center and all those things. So it is an important part of our business as well. But there just won't be that conglomerate like you got 60 type of liquors you can have. You're going to have batched liquors, certain strength, and maybe 4 or 5 or 6 of it the most.
What's the proof by volume of these liquor kegs?
Pardon me?
Or what's the proof by volume of the liquor?
The proof will be mixed just like any other liquor. So we have 6-gallon kegs, and then we basically have the recipes to mix how much. We've also talked to, I guess I could say, I won't say that, but margaritas. So Tim Keene, about having his margaritas on our tap. They would pre-make them, and we put those in 6-gallon kegs and have those on our taps. So we're trying to partner with other companies like that too as well. So the proof is, with the recipes, it's like you make a regular drink, but we're just making it in batch.
Without the overpouring.
Correct, without the overpouring, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any other comments you'd like to make before we close the floor?
I don't think so.
I'll make the motion to close the floor.
Got a first to close the floor?
Second.
Got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay,
Chief, I'd like to get your input since you haven't had the chance to give your feedback on this in the past.
Yeah, right, thank you. Certainly don't want to condone when someone has an idea and they certainly want to come forward here in the village. And alcohol in that area is rather tricky for us, especially for the enforcement part of it, because someone has one too many and they get into a car and they drive away and you ask where they came from. they're normally not telling you where they came from unless you see them drive out of a lot. But besides that, one of the concepts with this, I know you talked about not overpouring, but it's very easy for a person to try this one and try this one and try this one and try this one. Someone who may not drink a lot might like this concept of going here and having maybe a little bit. It's actually easier to have a lot. And not so much looking at trying to give it to someone underage, but sometimes they have a lot. I understand you're going to have someone that's going to monitor this, but if you talk about having a large area with many people in there, I'm not sure how you were able to monitor it with looking at a card saying, well, they're at 28 ounces, they should be okay. If I don't drink a lot, 28 ounces to me could put me under. Now, again, that can happen in any establishment we have here, but those are some of my concerns I think I look at when you have some of these self-pours. You're drinking something maybe you're not normally used to, that one alcohol, because it is a novelty and it is something that I don't drink margaritas. I'm going to try a couple. Hey, these are pretty good. And next thing you know, wow, but I'm okay to drive. And that's where we don't want that. So.
It actually is really, I just was at one in Naperville, Illinois last weekend, and it's actually easier than that. You get a card, you have to put the card in the slot to make the pump work, the tap work, and we made the mistake of putting me, my son, and my husband all on one card. And so we each got a drink, and then when I went back up to try another thing, it says, you're tapped out, go talk to the person. So like you put the card in, it won't operate. The pump won't operate. So it's not like people really have to monitor you. You end up having to go up to the desk then and say, hey, this said I'm tapped out, what's going on? And she's like, how much have you had? You know, because it's timing it, and it's keeping track of your ounces. I mean, it thought I had 3 beers in 15 minutes, and it tapped me out. You know what I mean? But it was one for my husband, one for me, one for, so it's not like people have to be watching the crowd like a hawk because their card just won't operate.
And I was at one at Minneapolis, and the same thing. It was somewhere around 30-ish ounces, and that's when it cut off, and you just had to go back to the front. But it was kind of like, well, it's kind of, I feel like that's a good enough time for me to go, so like don't need any more. So it's kind of a self-check as well, because sometimes if you're sitting at a bar, you can just keep reordering and reordering as well. I mean, there's, you know, good and bad to both.
And those would be reordering full drinks, you know?
Yeah.
And with the technology in the back end, again, as you're talking, Kelly, you have the ounces where you can have one card and then you can give several on the one card, or you can do individual per card. So the technology, and again, I could sit on my phone right there. It's like somebody's walking up as our licensed operators are serving food and they're helping people and they see people walking forth. They're constantly monitoring people just by knowing that. And that's part of our model, is for our training, is to help them monitor that and monitor people walking around as they're serving the food and watching people walk up. We have somebody on the wall all the time. Somebody will always be there watching people on the wall all the time. And so that capability, again, to your point, I'm out, well, now it's a deterrent for you. Yeah, I should have enough. I should have enough. So now it's a deterrent for you. You shouldn't have any more. You go to the licensed operator, I need more. It's like, well, that's our bartender check. Whereas a lot of other bartenders, again, they don't know behind the scenes who's even drinking when I buy 4 beers. There's no check there. Absolutely none. This is all automated. Besides our people monitoring situation.
As a point of reference, the floor is closed right now, so.
You know, I don't think we're
You're done
too
with comments.
concerned on their systems and what they're doing. I think our concern right here is the license. And that is what we're concerned about right now, as what we're trying to figure out right now, so. I think your operation, you know, that you've got a foolproof operation, but we are concerned about the license.
I mean, yeah, there's only, we have just one left then, is
We
that?
got one left, and,
But-
you know, we've been through this before.
And,
The first time we've gone
well,
through
the
this.
big thing is, I mean, it'd be different maybe if this is the first time that this model has come out, but it's been out for a while now, and it's been done in other markets. And I mean, I guess it'd be a bad precedent by us, I would, in my opinion, from denying it just because we only have one left. I mean, for the first time, we denied it because they didn't have the food aspect. They came back in with that and made accommodations for that. And now just because the sizing of it's a little different and it's gonna use up the last available one, I think it just is a bad precedent for us to hold out in case something different comes along.
So, yeah, just to add some clarification to the licensing component. So what they're requesting is a Class B beer and a Class B liquor combination license. It's the Class B liquor that has the restriction on, and a quota by state statute as to how many can be issued by a municipality. If you were to issue a Class B beer license or a Class C wine license in lieu of the combination, you would not be affecting the quota limitation that the state has imposed on the village. So it's not a either or type of situation where you either approve the full combination license or you deny all licenses. You have discretion to determine what is the appropriate license to be issued in this request.
Okay. Everybody understand? Okay, anything else you people want to say before you close the floor?
We already did.
Or we'll close the floor, okay. Okay. What do we want to do here?
Who makes the determination on the 300-seat capacity? That's a state law. Do we go there and look at it, or just take their word for it, or what, how do we do that?
Joel, can you answer that?
So part of the application process, in order to meet that exception requirement, there has to be a seating floor plan that's presented. And that was a component and a conversation that was had with the applicants back when they applied 2 years ago. We reviewed their seating floor plan to ensure that they met the 300 permanent seat requirements. And again, those have to be met from an interior standpoint as well. A lot of places will have a significant amount of exterior seating in an outdoor environment. Those do not count towards that exception rule for state statute purposes.
Is that inspected by the state, Joel?
It could be. I don't want to say that it is, but it certainly could be. But it's generally going to be the state, the local municipality's responsibility to provide those inspections.
Okay.
This might be unfair to ask you, but I recall back a few months ago, we approved the Oneidas to be able to combine their bars. And that, I thought, was in effect, was going to give us back a license because they didn't have two liquor licenses. And again, like I'm saying, I think it's unfair to ask you because Chris isn't here, but I seem to recall that. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure, do we truly only have one left now, or is there?
So what we ultimately have is we have two licenses. One is a regular license, which does not require, it's the available license that does not or is not impacted by a quota. But we are limited to the number of regular licenses that we have. And we have one reserve license, which is what requires the $10,000 fee, and that is certainly subject to the quota. Those additional licenses that you're referring to were utilized then later on through operations at the Great North Commons building.
Okay.
We had one license that was issued there that freed up. The other licenses that were there had met the exception component, so they were able to be utilized. So we're still limited. We have had a couple licenses that have freed up, obviously, through this last renewal process, and so we have two available right now, one reserve, and that's primarily because we went through the renewal process and two businesses basically ceased operation. But every year, we tend to have high demand and high interest in those licenses.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'm going to make the motion just to kick this off, and I think that I like your concept, I really do. I'm going to make the motion to grant the Class B beer and a Class C wine license, and then we can put that to a vote and go from there.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we've got a first and a second for a beer wine license. Am I hearing it right?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried there.
I think the important thing is recognize that you can come back to the village board meeting, we have the same discussion again. And then you got the full village board here, see what they have to say as well.
Would I be
I
able
think
to,
your concept is solid, I really do. You know, unfortunately, we got some restrictions that are hurting us right now, and anything that you can bring back to us, kind of like when we talked around the food, around the size, around the numbers, around the, okay, how big is your establishment gonna be? What's your expectations? You know, you obviously got a business plan. What are you expecting? How many people are going to be showing up on a nightly basis, on a weekly basis? Packer games, state, you know, state volleyball, all this stuff. Please bring that all back.
I'd also be interested to see if there are numbers out there from other establishments, tap houses, that show what percentage of the revenue is coming from the liquor compared to the beer and the wine, and bring that to the board, because that would be persuasive.
Yeah, that'd be great.
and if I could, I would like to make the motion to approve the Class B beer, Class B liquor license, like they applied for.
So we have
already-
had a motion with action to approve the Class B beer, Class C wine, which was approved. So from a Robert's Rules of Order standpoint, I think what would be best fitting would be a requested motion from those that made the original motion that was approved to rescind the prior motion. You would vote on that motion to rescind prior action, and then you would take another motion to approve the motion that you are recommending, John, if that makes sense.
I would like to just, John, I'd like to see, get this to the village board with more
Okay.
detail. I hear you. You know, again, like I said, I think I think there's some positive things about what they're doing. I do like the limiting that, and I do like the idea, not shots, things like that. I'm sure Chief does too. But, you know, I do also understand what Chief is saying is that, yeah, there's some, it's like with any establishment like that, there's some issues that could happen. But
Well, with liquor, there's always a chance of
always,
what the chief said with any resident that come, or any company that comes up with a liquor license.
so, I mean, this gentleman that you're working with on the tap, whatever, see what, Kelly made up a great point. See what information anybody can bring back as far as your percentage of businesses. That's also gonna help you in your business plan too, you know, what do you got?
And maybe see something from Mr. Keen that he's gonna partner with you or whatever, you know, something from him saying, yeah, I'd like to do that, whatever. That might make a difference to people, I don't know.
Okay, so we got a village board meeting, as you know, on the 22nd, like Joel said, at 6 o'clock, so.
Yeah.
Bring all the information that the people are asking for,
Be best for you
and
to talk
we'll
then.
see where we roll from there.
You're all good.
So, right now, you're approved for wine and beer. But you still gotta come to the village board meeting. Okay. Very good.
And
Thank you.
it can be changed there, that's what I'm saying, so it's not like you're locked in at the village board to the beer and wine, if it could get changed there.
Okay, moving on to item C here. Consider, discuss, act on a Blitz B beer Class B liquor license, temporary extensions at Titletown. Joel.
All right, thank you, Gary. Titletown Sports Service Inc., DBA. Titletown is requesting an extension a temporary extension rather, for their Class B beer, Class B liquor license. So this license has been already issued. This would be an extension of the premise for 2 specific dates. Indicated in the staff report, the Titletown Beats Concert number 1, scheduled for July 19th, 2025, from 1:45 p.m. to 11 p.m., and their concert number 2 on August 26, 2025, from 1:45 to 11 p.m. The extension will cover the asphalt parking area to the north of the of the football field, if you will. This was an area that was used during the NFL draft for other programming and events. This is consistent with previously requested and approved extensions in the past.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
First and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
One comment, Joel. No road closures.
Well, Ridge is gonna be.
There
closed, right?
will be no road closures for these two concerts.
Correct.
The board will see a likely road closure for a different event for their kickoff to the 2025 season.
Correct.
That will likely be coming to village board on the 22nd.
Okay, we all understand that? Okay, I guess we made a motion and took care of that one. All right, items for next agenda, bring them up to the staff. If nothing else, I would obtain a motion to close this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much.